Okay, I guess this thing is on. Um, I got a conditioner in my hair. I gotta keep it in for about an hour. I'm in the nail salon. I just did my nails. Ooh, they're so pretty. They're so pretty. I like them. I don't know. I practiced them with this. And they turned out so pretty. And you know, I'm looking at the camera. It's weird. I'm looking at the camera. I'm looking at the part of the camera where I can talk to myself. So that's why I'm looking this way, because that's where the camera angle is at, and it's weird to me. This is weird to me, but anyway, it's kind of pretty outside. I'm here in Florida, and a friend just asked me a really intriguing question. And what my friend said was, "Do you have any regrets?" And the answer to that is no. I don't. I don't have any regrets. I used to have regrets, but I don't have any anymore. And the reason why I don't have any regrets anymore is because it's kind of crazy. But, well, it's not really crazy. Um, it's something that, like, psychiatrists recommend, and it was something on Oprah Winfrey. Or it's recommended through, like, self-healing therapy. It was a step in the right direction anyway. I used to write these journals, like a diary, right? I used to write these things, and in these journals, I would write about what I was going through, what my experiences were for the day, and I had probably about 15 or 25 of them. This is back. This is like in 1980s. I had about 15, 25 of them, and I shared them with a friend of mine, and he said, "You know, you could write a book of this stuff because nobody would believe that you actually experienced this." And I said, "Yeah, I know. It's weird stuff." And it was weird stuff. It was weird stuff. Um, I talked to a psychiatrist about it, a court ordered psychiatrist. It was just still kills me to this day. And the psychiatrist gave me, of course, a psychiatric evaluation of my experiences and told me that these things that, you know, these demons and angels and all the stuff that I was seeing was actually a reflection of my brain interpreting my situation. Okay, that makes sense though. It does. And the reason why it makes sense is because have you ever looked at something at a distance or up close and you can't make it out, but your brain is going through patterns, is going through experiences that you've had, and you're trying to, like, you're trying to match. You're trying to match what you see with what you know, and you get a match. You go, oh, that's what that is. Well, that's what she was saying. That the reason that my brain was trying to understand this horrific experience that I was going through. There are some people that are really evil in this, really evil in this world. And anyway, so, oh my gosh, I went backwards instead of forwards. So anyway, here I go. So my friend asked me if I have any regrets, and the answer was no. And the reason why I don't have any regrets is because in the year 2000, sad to say, right around the time of the towers, which is symbolic, I guess, right around the time of this towers coming down, I had life-changing events in my life. Um, I said a prayer one night because I was going through all this stuff, all this negative stuff, and I couldn't figure out what was happening in my life. Everything was just crazy. And by crazy, what I'm saying is um, I got divorced, I was beaten. I just went through a lot of negative stuff. I got into abusive relationships. I was college educated, but I couldn't get a job. People were, I went to Anyway, just the whole thing, alcoholism, drug abuse, couldn't get a job, relationships not working out, children just acting crazy, disrespectful, disobedient, didn't want to listen. I got some paint there, sorry. Didn't want to listen. Oh, that's polished. Didn't want to listen, didn't want to do what mommy was telling them. Just stuff that you go through in regular life. No. I mean, maybe as a black American, you go through it, but as a human being, some of that stuff, it was over the top, okay? Not getting a job in your chosen field of office management with a degree, that's normal, okay? But being told by interviewers, I had this one experience where a lady called me up on the phone. I sent my resume. That was back in the day when people did paper and typewriters and resumes and all this stuff. So I sent them my resume. They called me up. I had an interview. I get to the interview, and I'm sitting there. I'm just sitting there. The interview's like at 2 o'clock, and it's like 2:15, and I'm just like, what's going on? So they come out. The lady comes out, she introduces herself, she takes me to the back room, and there's two of them. And they say, and I mean, this is what happened. They said, we're sorry, but the job's already been taken. And we can't hire you. And they look at each other and they start laughing. I mean, laughing. And she said, I'm sorry, we didn't mean to waste your time, but we don't have a position for you. And I said, oh, okay, thank you for your time. So I get up and I leave. It was like 15 minutes, literally. It was like 15 minutes. I went in there, sat down, they started laughing. They told me that they didn't have a job. And I was trying to figure out what's so funny. And so then I left. I went home. Okay, interview's over. Big deal. So the company that I worked through was like some job agency. So they called me up and they were like, "Oh, did you get the job?" And I said, "No." And she said, "What?" And I said, "Yeah, they didn't hire me." And she said, "But," she said, "Hold on a minute. Let me call you back." So probably an hour, she called me back and she said, "Jacqueline, I'm so very sorry." She said, yeah, you need to come in as soon as possible because we need to talk about some things. And I said, oh, okay. So before I could go in there, the manager of the company called, the lady that does the hiring and firing in the HR department. And she said, I was overlooking all the applicants and she said, you know what, I'm really sorry that you were overlooked. She said, I just don't understand how your resume and application was overlooked. She said, I want to hire you like right now. She said, is there any way possible that you could come back in so we could get the paperwork started? And I said, the paperwork? She said, yeah. She said, I'm offering you that job right now on paper. She said, because she said, I'm looking at your resume. I personally have checked your references and everything is in order. I need you to come in. And I said, okay. She said, is it possible that you could come in like today or early in the morning? And I said, well, I can come in I can be there like in an hour. She said, great. So I get there. And she tells me the same thing. Except for this time I don't wait. As soon as I get there, the lady goes, gets her. She comes, gets me. We sit down in the office. And she says, I'm really sorry that I had you waste your time. She said, but they just informed me that they already hired somebody. And this is the lady that does the hiring. And I said, but I thought I thought you were the one that does the hiring. She said, yeah, it was an oversight on my behalf. And I said, okay. So I go somewhere else and to a different job agency. No, wait. So I had an appointment with the other lady at the job agency. And she said, Is there any way possible that you think that you could like go to school and update your resume because your college education is from like 5 years ago and your work experience is from 2 years ago in this particular field? And I said, well, yeah, I could. I said, but it would just be kind of like wasting my money. And she said, yeah. She said, well, that's what we're finding is that a lot of your education is from 5 years ago in your job experience in this particular field of office management, computer. I was a, the, the job title doesn't even really exist anymore. But I was like a computer programmer. At that time, it just meant like data entry. You just organize the information, program analysis. The only thing you did was they just gave you all the information. You put it into the computer, and the computer told you whether this information was sufficient or valid, or if it needed to be updated, that kind of stuff. So she said, maybe if you update your education or take some exemplary classes. And I said, okay. So I went to somebody else, and she said, girl, they just racist. I mean, I was told, I had one person tear my resume up in my face. I had another person at the interview tell me that they weren't going to hire me because I was black. I had another person tell me when I asked if they were hiring, and they said, yeah, but not black people. And I mean, I'm 57. And I graduated high school in 1980. And this is stuff that happened to me like 82, 95, 2001. I mean, really? Yeah, so it happened. And it still happens today, it just happens differently. So anyway, so I didn't have any regrets because I asked God to show me why my life was a mess. Now this is just for me. Oh, wait a minute. I'm coming up on like 15 minutes almost for this video. I don't have my glasses on, sorry. I don't need my glasses to like watch a movie or to watch videos, but I need my glasses to like read, so I had to look for squint my eyes for the time. So anyway, so I had this heartfelt prayer, and I knew my life was a mess. I had a job. I was working. I was working. I was working at Walmart. Ugh. I was working at Walmart, and at that time, I was working at Walmart, and I was working as a stocker, and so I had a job, I had an apartment, I had a car. I was financially okay. I was struggling a little bit. The main thing was I couldn't figure out what was happening in my life financially and spiritually and mentally. Everything was falling apart in my life that I could tell. And so I asked God, you know, I just asked Jehovah God, what's going on with me? Why is my life a mess? Why is it that I'm not progressing? So, so the next morning I woke up, you know, and I go in the bathroom and I wash my face. And I go in the bathroom and I turn the sink on. I look down the sink to turn the sink on to get the water to run. And then I look up, and what I saw in the mirror, it was horrible, y'all. I mean, it was like a skeleton. It was like a zombie face. I had like this zombie face. And I had like this zombie face. And I did this. Cause I was like, whoa, I must be tired. Woo! Was I drinking last night? And I wasn't drinking. I didn't drink that night. I didn't have any weed or anything that night. The night before, because I was broke, couldn't afford nothing, didn't have nothing. I mean, the refrigerator was empty. So I had no alcohol, no drugs. I wasn't having a hangover. And I was like, whoa! And I was like, what? And then it just disappeared. And then I heard the voice. I heard a voice, and it said, that's what's wrong with you. You're spiritually dead. And I just started crying because, for those people who are looking for Jehovah God, who have a spiritual inkling, being spiritual, being spiritually dead, you might as well be a, you might as well be a crackhead. You might as well be, you're dead. You're walking dead. You are a zombie. You are a walking dead person. For those who want to have a spiritual relationship with their Creator, for those who want to be spiritually awakened, being spiritually dead is a nothing life. You don't have a life. So I went on a quest after that to try I went on a quest after that. A purposeful, willing quest to understand how I could get better, how I could get healed. And I was reading the Bible, and and Jesus said, I'm trying not to turn this into like a preaching thing, but it's more. I'm just giving my experience. I want to document this because, oh boy, it's important for me to get this out. So, and I know nobody's gonna watch this, and nobody's gonna care, and people are gonna just go delete or whatever, whatever, whatever. And I don't care. I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this because I need to get this off my chest. This is something that I needed to say, so I'm saying it. Okay, so I went through this whole process of reading the scriptures, going to different churches, talking to pastors, talking to priests, talking to family members, talking to friends, just asking people, how do you have a relationship with God through Jesus Christ? How does going to church make you a better person? How does praying make you a better person? How do you atone for the sins of your past? How do you make things right? How do you get forgiven? And then once you're forgiven, then what do you do with it? I mean, you see them people on TV and they're preaching and rolling around on the ground, and people get filled with the Holy Spirit and they're doing the Holy Spirit dance. And I didn't feel none of that. I didn't understand it. I was just like, what's wrong with y'all? You know what I'm saying? None of that stuff made sense to me. And I had Bible studies with Jehovah's Witnesses, and whew, I didn't understand none of that stuff they were talking about. And just all of it, just I didn't understand any of it. None of it made sense to me, and I couldn't figure it out. And I kept looking, and I kept looking. And the main motive was because when I saw myself in the mirror, I was terrified. I was scared because I didn't. If that's how you look to people, then no wonder why they don't want you around. No wonder why they don't want to be your friend. No wonder why, you know, men don't want to stay in a long-term relationship with you because you're ugly. No, and I mean ugly because, and then not only that, but I had to actually, while I'm going to church and reading my Bible and going around talking to all these people, I'm actually looking at myself. I'm actually thinking, I'm looking at that reflection and I'm trying to find instances in my life where it matched. And oh my God, it matched. I mean, I committed murder. I had two abortions, willingly had abortions. I willingly killed my children, in the womb. I was committing adultery. I was having intercourse with other women's husbands. It was acting like, I don't know what your problem is. If you was a real woman, you would be able to keep him. He mine now. I was acting like that. You know, I would go to work and do half of a job and then get mad because they want to fire me. Why you want to fire me? I'll quit before you fire me. I was nasty. I was mean. I was thoughtless. I was rude. I was greedy. I was selfish. I was a terrible, terrible person. I was having sex with my friends' boyfriends on the slick. What's wrong with you? I was getting drunk. I was using my physical beauty to get what I wanted. And then when I got what I wanted, I would throw it up. Like I was what are them girls called? The ones that eat bulimic. I was bulimic with my life. I would get what I wanted and then I would throw it back up. And then I would say, I'm hungry. I was like a dog returning to its own vomit. I was disgusting. So what God showed me in that mirror, it was how I was really living, y'all. I was living terrible. And I couldn't, and I was, look, I was a cheater, a liar, a whore, an adulteress, a drug addict, an alcoholic, a thief, a murderer, a liar, a charlatan. I was on calling 800 psychic line. I was looking at tarot readers. I was reading astrology. I was crazy. I was doing all this wicked stuff, and I couldn't figure out why my life was a mess. Oh, seriously? Because they tell you, look, I am mother. I am Mother Clairvoyancy. And if you listen to me, and if you look, and if you listen to me, if you listen to me, I will show you in my crystal ball what your life will be for 1995. I will show you how to live your life. And you do it. and you do what they say. And everything turns out. Oh, everything is so beautiful. Oh, you met this great guy. Madam so and so said that if I go to the mall and go to Neiman Marcus and go to the jewelry department at 405, I will meet the man of my dreams. And so you do. And you meet this guy. And he's great and he's wonderful to you. And Madam so and so says he will be the man of your dreams. All you have to do is pay me 99.95 and I will show you how to make him yours. And so you do. Who cares about paying rent that month? I'll be $100 short. My landlord won't mind. And so you do. And she shows you. And it works out. And you're like, oh, this psychic, this woman, this Madame Clara, she has showed me the way. I will listen to her. And so you do. And you listen to her. And then the man beats you, sodomizes you, empties your savings account. And you want to know why? I'm going to tell you why. Madame Clara has told you that if you would only send her a check for $2,000, she will show you how to make this man marry you and give you 5 children. If you listen to her. And you're like, I don't have $2,000. And so all this bad stuff starts to happen, right? And so Madame Clara says, well, if you just would have listened to me, baby. If you just would have sent me the money, I would have blessed you, and your life would have been beautiful. So the next time she asks you to send $3,000, you send it, and your life is blessed. And then she says $5,000, and your life is blessed. And then she says $8,000, and your life is blessed. And then she says $10,000, and your life falls apart. You get an STD, you get fired from your job, your house burns down, you lose your car, everything is going crazy in your life. And now you're homeless, nobody wants you around, you can't figure it out. It's because you followed a demon. And demons only lead one of 2 places, death or destruction, but always death. Take it from me, I did the same thing. I followed Madame Claire right to death and destruction. So after I said the prayer and Jehovah God showed me what my mistakes were, I began to look for him. I began to look for God. I found a really good church with one of the pastor was one of my childhood friends, and everything was great. But you have to remember, I was looking for God. I was looking for Jehovah. I wasn't looking for my best friend. I wasn't looking for a church family. I was looking for the one and only Creator. And then one day while I was sitting in church, could hear a knock on the window. Now the church was up 2 stories where we sat to worship. And you know how the old churches, or not even the old churches, well, yeah, the old churches, because a lot of new churches, I haven't, well, anyway, they had those stained glass windows. Well, we had these big stained glass windows. And I kept on hearing a knocking at the window, and I was like, at first I just kind of looked, at the side like that. I was like, I never really look because I don't even know what's happening right now, because can't nobody get up there to knock on the window. And nobody else was moving, and I was looking around like, does anybody else hear that? And it knocked again, and I was like, okay, I'm going to look. So I looked, and I'm not going to say what I saw, because to this day, I still think something had to be wrong. I mean, I still think, wow. So you have this image of angels in your head, So there was an angel hovering outside the window. And I looked back because I was like, no, I'm not going to pay attention to that. But every Sunday that I went, that angel was knocking on that window, no matter where I sat. If I sat on the left side, knocking on the window. If I sat in the middle, knocking on the window. And he was only doing it in the church. When I sat on the right side, the front, the back, he's always knocking on that window. And so one day I just said, what do you want? And the angel said to me, God's not just in the church. The one and only creator of all the world. He doesn't live in a church. He's everywhere. And I was like, I don't know what that meant, but okay. This is what the angel meant. You have to live your faith. You just go to church on Sunday and you're a Christian. And then Monday through Saturday, you're not.